Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/getstarted for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric. As you know, during the holidays, there are a lot of Bond films on TV, and not all of them are worth your time, but we value your time. So check out this archived episode in which we help you find the best James Bond episodes. Do we expect you to die? No, we expect you to listen. And please consider becoming a soulmate. That's our Patreon supporters group. It keeps the show coming back every week. Also, keep in mind, since this is a classic episode, some of the special offers and advertisements you hear might not be valid. Sorry about that. We'll be back live next week.
Live from
Podcast City in Ferndale, ML Elric, Marc Fellhauer, Shawn Windsor.
starring in tonight's production of Climax.
The game to be played tonight is for the highest stakes of all. A man is going to wager his life. Climax presents Casino Royale from the bestseller by Ian Fleming. Stars
ML Elric, Marc Fellhauer, and Shawn Windsor.
And now, Casino Royale.
Interrogative.
Get your finger out of my face. Get your finger out of my face.
Take the first shot, then if you want to,
Get your finger out of my face.
It's gone.
What are you doing?
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Elric?
That intro you heard was from Climax, the very first James Bond televised version, I guess live action version. And it's from 1954, a little bit on that for our special All Bonds special. This is ML Elric, your host from Fox 2 and also the host of ML Soul of Detroit. I'm joined by Marc Fellhauer and Windsor, Shawn Windsor. 000.
Yeah, I'm not worth anything.
No, you could be the first one. I think the higher up you are, the better you are. You could be like the beginning of it all, the fountainhead.
I'm a zero
of Bond.
And... maybe two more zeros. Nothing.
Yeah, that would be the oh.
I'm lint.
So this first Bond was broadcast in 1954, live U.S. television. James Bond was known as Jimmy Bond. He was American. The FBI guy we know as Felix Leiter was British, and his name was Clarence Leiter.
Jimmy Bond just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah, it's not surprising it took him about 8 years to try again. I think I read that Ian Fleming got like $2,500 for the rights to use Casino Royale, and the villain was actually very good, Peter Lorre, which is great. And the very first Bond girl was a woman named Linda Christian, who would later marry, and here's the Soul of Detroit connection. She would later marry one of the sons of Soupy Sales. How Detroit
really
can you get? She also kissed. She was having an affair with a Formula One driver, and in a famous photo, she kissed him just before he got into a race, and he died in the race, crashed into the crowd, killed 10 spectators, killed the navigator in I think it was his Ferrari. And meanwhile, when he wasn't kissing the very first Bond girl, he had a pregnant girlfriend or
that's crazy,
or wife somewhere. So lots of intrigue. So James Bond, in any incarnation, is very, very dramatic. So we are doing all Bond, even though we have a 99% female listenership. We thought we would try and introduce them to something new.
It really is the ultimate guy movie franchise.
Yeah, it is. I think women like Pierce Brosnan. I think women like Daniel Craig.
For sure.
Who doesn't like
obviously
Sean Connery? Yeah, Roger Moore they like, and George Lazenby was a model. So that's eye candy by definition. So you can't go wrong. Timothy Dalton, one of the most handsome men in the world. Hello, Dimples. He had a dimple in his chin. That's what they used to say to him on the set. Hello, Dimples. He would just say, I'm not Sean Connery. So if you don't like this show, just disregard what I'm about to say, because we really want you to rate the show. We'd love you to review it, and we want you to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We have lots of sponsors who make this show possible. Please let them know that you appreciate them and their support for this show, because they really do. They're the underpinnings of this. They are the foundation, the backbone of this show, because, things do take money. We will accept your money as well, by the way. Maybe you don't need LASIK. Maybe you don't need to refinance your house, but maybe you got a few pennies clinking around in your piggy bank that you want to send to ML Soul of Detroit. Go to mlsoulofdetroit.com. You'll see a donate button. A couple people have already done that. We really appreciate that. We will be sending them some cool swag because...
And thank you to Francis, who donated $6.66.
Wow.
I don't know if he's trying to send a message from the
devil
beast.
may care, and the devil does care. We are going to have some merch. You can find it at... Mark, where do people get all our cool swag?
DrewandMikeStore.com. The Kwame Sutra is up there right now. The shirts are any second.
Yes.
Any second they'll be up there.
So, and you can contact us, too, drop a message to us at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com or call us at 313-288-9070. That's 313-Butterfield-8-9070. Of course, Elizabeth Taylor looking stunning in that nightie in the Butterfield 8. Not a Bond girl, but she kind of fooled around with Peter Lawford, who I think was considered as a Bond at one time. The very first choice for James Bond, by the way, this is brought to us by our research department, was going to be Patrick McGoohan, but very Catholic, and so he didn't feel that Mr. Bond sort of fit his ethos. He thought he was maybe a little too familiar with the ladies.
And he had daughters too, which seems very 2019 of him.
McGoohan also was the one who came up with the last name, then the first name, then the last name in his show Secret Agent. So
really,
so Patrick
Bond,
McGoohan.
James Bond.
I don't know that a redheaded James Bond would have caught on, but Ginger.
Yeah, that's
Ginger Bond.
Could you imagine?
That sounds like a Bond girl, actually.
Ginger Bond
or
Ginger Bond.
A beer.
Ginger Bond would be the Bond girl who likes to tie you up. They would call that bondage.
Why? Oh,
bondage.
Ginger Bond.
Ginger Bond. Think about it. That's a thinker. I guarantee you, one of your friends will nudge you and say, that shit was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're sitting next to me.
Time to do a little business. Dr. Yaldo is a sponsor of the Red Shovel Network. Despite his better judgment, he supports our show, and he's critical to our survival. Corrective eye surgery is one of the best things you can do if you're sick of your contacts, if you're sick of your glasses. It's a breakthrough that people like myself have taken advantage of. I now have 20/15 vision because of LASIK. If you play sports, believe me, this is a blessing. If you like to swim, if you like to sail, if you like to get waterboarded, because you know some secrets and Smersh or maybe Spectre's trying to get them from you, but you won't give them up, that's a good time to get LASIK. So secret agent discount, let them know. Actually, they know.
Bond never had glasses.
He did in Casino Royale when Peter Sellers played James Bond. That was one of the major plot lines in one of the Rump James Bond productions, unauthorized. Okay, so anyways, Dr. Yaldo, sorry about that.
Well, no, I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah, so we're going to do a bracket.
We'll rejoin the
Yaldo
read in progress.
We're going to pick the best Bond film in a bracket-style tournament. And one of the fun things about doing this was matching up the unofficial James Bond movies with the official James Bond movie. Casino Royale was made in 1967, long before Daniel Craig played James Bond. In fact, Casino Royale was the first book by Ian Fleming, and somehow the Broccoli Aeon Films did not get the rights to Casino Royale, so somebody made one in which David Niven, Peter Sellers, and wait for it, Woody Allen all play James Bond.
Really?
It's a big spoof. It's a parody. Ursula Andress, who may be the most iconic Bond girl, she was the very first Bond girl on the big screen when she was in Dr. No, also played in this Casino Royale. They're trying to beat Le Chiffre, who was paid by Orson Welles at Baccarat, and Peter Sellers was the world's greatest card player in the movie. And so they tried to turn him into a secret agent to bankrupt Le Chiffre, but he could not see without his heavy glasses, sort of those national health glasses the English wear, because you get one free pair because of socialized medicine, with the thick, heavy frames, which are now very fashionable, by the way. And so every time Ursula Andress would say, okay, you're doing great, he'd have to put his glass on. She's like, no, you're blowing it. So James Bond did wear glasses. And, of course, Woody Allen always wears glasses, and his wife's daughters. He wears both of them on his face. Woody.
Glasses and his wife's daughter?
All of a sudden, the name Woody doesn't sound so
doesn't
cute.
Seem
does
appropriate.
it?
Yeah. Or appropriate.
Yeah, so, oh, yeah, sorry, but, okay.
So Dr. Yaldo.
He's the most experienced and honored eye surgeon in Michigan. Did I mention that? 30,000 plus people have gotten his state-of-the-art custom LASIK procedure, and most have actually gotten better than 20/20 vision, called supernormal vision. Imagine that, seeing better without glasses and contacts than you ever did with them. It only takes a few minutes, it's painless, and you'll get to throw all those contacts and glasses in the garbage. His multifocal lens implants for people 45 plus forever frees you from your hated reading glasses. No more reading glasses, along with precision far vision. You've got nothing to lose by seeing Dr. Yaldo for a free evaluation. You should get an eye exam every 2 years anyways. It's covered by your insurance. In fact, insurance usually covers it once a year, and you get a deductible. It's very small. They cover the rest. Check them out. Tell them ML sent you from ML Soul of Detroit. Call 1-800-398-EYES, 1-800-398-EYES, or go to yaldoeyecenter.com. Please, I beg of you, tell them we sent you. Just this, not too long ago, I just refinanced my house with Hall Financial. Great deal. They gave me an unbelievable rate. I dumped my HELOC, which has a variable rate. That's a home equity loan. Floats all over with the market. They locked me in, or they tried to lock me in. I said, guys, can you do better? You know what? Dan Morrison, Shannon, and the crew at Hall Financial, they did better.
They like a challenge.
They like it.
You are a challenge.
Dealing with me is a challenge. I can't emphasize how
Sean
enough.
and I know.
Oh, yes. We're going to prove that in just a minute. And maybe we've already proved it. I can't emphasize enough how important people like David Hall are to our survival. Again, they sponsor us. They've taken a chance on this new form of media. And if you want to refinance your home, Hall Financial would love to save you money. You can email David at dhall@hallfg.com or call Hall Financial at 248-308-5000. Maybe it's your first home. Maybe it's your dream home. Maybe you want to take money out of your home. Give David Hall a chance and get lower rates, better options, and more personal attention. They have over 600 five-star reviews. Industry average for a refi is 44 days. My man Dan and Shannon can beat that. They average 19 days. They'll fight for you even if you have a dent in your credit history. Email dhall@hallfg.com or call 248-308-5000. Tell them ML sent you and that you're not as big a pain in the butt as I am, and they'll take care of you. NMLS 1467435. So, Shawn, Mr. Marc, there were 24 official Bond movies. The 25th one is coming up. There were the two sort of, I'll call them rump ones, Never Say Never Again, which was kind of a cheesy knockoff remake of Thunderball. I put them into a bracket that you can find at our website, ML Soul of Detroit. We'll leave the black bracket blank so you can see what the matchups were. You can pick your own best. I've divided these into the Connery region, the Brosnan region, the Moore region, and the Craig region. Now, there's a reason I did it this way, partly because of the number of movies each one of these actors starred in, but also because this is, and I'll reveal my own diabolical
the Dalton
plot.
region.
Dalton got folded into the Brosnan region.
That makes sense, yeah.
For geographic, for time reasons, and also number of movies. But I concocted this just so that I could get Connery and Craig together in the end. And we'll see if that's how it works out on
Something new for the basketball tournament.
Yes, it's all a conspiracy. In fact, it's like Kronstein in From Russia with Love, where he anticipated every move when he beat McMaster in the chess tournament at the beginning of From Russia with Love. Shawn, don't you love the little movie before the movie starts, how there's that great little set piece where something really cool happens and then the movie starts? Or do you just like the title sequence?
Well, I like both. And I don't know if it's a little movie. It's a elongated scene, sort of, isn't it? Like in, what's a good example? In Skyfall, where he gets shot off the train.
Oh, God, yeah. It's awesome.
Right?
Take the bloody shot!
Yeah, by the new Moneypenny.
I know. And then he shoots her with love.
Oh, you're going there already.
Okay, no, sorry. I'm trying to keep this an adult show because the thing, if you're going to do a James Bond show, you've got to keep the sex out of it because it's a very sort of family-oriented franchise.
It is. By the way, have you told our listeners what you're wearing?
I am wearing my dinner jacket.
You're wearing Spartan buttons.
Those are called studs because, and it's kind of redundant because all Spartans are studs.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, if they were Michigan, then would be
Contradiction.
studs.
They'd be duds.
Yeah.
Michigan studs are sort of the, dare I say it, the Roger Moore of studs.
You're wearing a white tux.
I am.
Yeah. Which seems apropos.
I really like Roger Moore, actually, and everything. And he actually played James Bond before he played James Bond in a British comedy show where he did a James Bond spoof around 1964, somewhat prescient.
Really?
A little foreshadowing, yeah. It was like Miss Marple's imagination. It was some British sketch comedy thing.
Did that have any weight into him getting the role?
I think at the time he was playing the Saint, who was very debonair.
Oh,
and,
okay.
And maybe a little more PG because he was on British TV. But yeah, Roger Moore was great. The problem with Roger Moore is by the time he played James Bond, he was probably on
In
the
his
outside
70s.
age. Right. And in the last couple of James Bond movies, when you say, wow, look at the jugs on that babe, you're referring to Roger Moore. Not good.
Well, I'm not one to talk about it.
Yeah. Double D7, they called him, I think it was. But so let's start. Should we, Shawn, do you want to pick a region?
Well, the way you've set this up, let's start with the Brosnan region.
We're starting in the Brosnan region. Okay. And our matchup in the number 1 seed GoldenEye gets a bye. Very good movie. Restarted the Bond franchise after Dalton.
It did. Doesn't hold up well now, but I actually saw that a couple of weeks ago randomly. Like you see Bond movies, as you do, right?
Right, now you can see them free on TV. It's great.
Yeah, they just come, all of a sudden there's a Bond festival on some sci-fi channel or whatever. GoldenEye was really good at the time, or so you thought.
Well, and its significance in the franchise, too. Dalton, who was sort of the more serious Bond, sort of more of the book-style Bond, like Daniel Craig is, did not go over really big, and they were like 5 years after the last Dalton movie, and Pierce Brosnan, who they wanted to get before, but they couldn't because of contractual reasons, restart. So our number 1 seed in that region is GoldenEye. The number 2 seed also gets a bye because with the 2016 bracket, it gets a little complicated. The number 2 seed, which gets a bye, is The Living Daylights, which is the better of the 2 Timothy Dalton movies, and as a courtesy to Timothy Dalton, who is a great classically trained English actor, we're giving them a bye through the first round. So your first round matchups are Tomorrow Never Dies versus License to Kill, and The World Is Not Enough with Die Another Day. Shawn, who's your pick?
Well, the 4-5 matchup, The World Is Not Enough, which I actually think is Brosnan's best movie. I know GoldenEye, and I understand why, because there was a pivot with the Bond franchise with that redo, or not redo, but his sort of entry into the franchise. The other thing too is I remember about this movie about GoldenEye is it was the first time you started thinking of Bond or in the movie as a dinosaur, right? I think who's the British who played M and that's Judi Dench.
Yes,
that's when we first meet her too, right?
I think so.
I'm almost positive it was GoldenEye, and she references his kind of outdated ways.
Cold War relic.
Exactly. You're a dinosaur. The society's changing, and which is amazing because that was the middle of the 90s, right, when they came out?
Very, very early 90s. No, World Is Not middle 90s, and the whole thing.
No, GoldenEye was
right. GoldenEye was, yeah, but The World Is Not Enough was kind of taking a swing at media moguls, which at one time were very powerful. Now they're very pathetic because of the way the internet has sort of gutted everybody.
No, I thought that's The World Is Not Enough. I thought that was on the submarine in the end in Istanbul.
I thought The World Is Not Enough was with Jonathan Pryce, where he plays the guy who wants to take over all communications.
I thought that was Tomorrow Never Dies.
It might be Tomorrow Never Dies. Anyways, I'm not a big Brosnan fan.
You guys keep them as separate as you can.
The World Is Not Enough surpasses Die Another Day, which is a Brosnan stinker. Okay, Tomorrow Never Dies, whatever that was, against License to Kill.
License to Kill.
Really? No, License to Kill. Is that a Brosnan or is that a
Dalton?
That's a Dalton. Okay.
Die Another Day is one of the worst Bonds out there, right? I think it was Halle Berry. She was the Bond girl.
Pretty good Bond girl.
No, I love Halle Berry. No offense to her.
She'd be a pretty good parking meter.
But it was just a silly movie.
Well, it was kind of a ripoff too. She comes out of the water like Ursula Andress, but she's in a tangerine bikini instead of
right.
A white
and they have a chase across the Arctic on ice, and the guy's got diamonds.
The
guy's got diamonds in his face, and
it's all very silly.
So we have License to Kill
and GoldenEye.
And GoldenEye. We got to go with GoldenEye there.
I think that's right.
And then we have The World Is Not Enough with The Living Daylights. And what do you want there?
I'm just gonna go with The World Is Not Enough.
Yeah,
because
it's kind of a fun movie.
I'm sorry,
Sophie Marceau. She's great in that.
Yeah, very good. Okay, GoldenEye and The World Is Not Enough. Who advances?
I got to go with The World Is Not Enough, even though GoldenEye is, But maybe you override me here.
No, I'm going to defer to you since I've already screwed up who's in some of these movies. So I'm going to defer to.
Although GoldenEye, if we can say the Bond girl, the bad Bond girl in that one is Famke Janssen.
That's the one who
kills
fabulous. You with her thighs while she's having sex with you.
Yes, and
Pierce Brosnan says no foreplay
and chuckles as she's doing it. She's enjoying killing you.
Yeah, maybe that just means that Bond is.
So maybe we should, and Sean Bean's the bad guy in GoldenEye. Maybe we should just go with GoldenEye just because of Famke.
You can never go wrong going with the number 1 seed unless they're Duke and you're playing Michigan State.
Yeah, Famke.
Famke Johnson. Also, big Jean Grey in the X-Men.
Yeah, and the wife in Taken.
So she held up. Held up well. GoldenEye is made the final 4 coming out of the Brosnan region. That sounds terrible. Let's just say the Brosnan bracket.
Plus, if we can just say The World Is Not Enough, I think the Bond girl was Denise Richards, so we probably we made the right choice.
Anybody see Wild Things? I like Denise Richards.
That's actually a really fun movie. That's a fun movie.
Yeah, anything
Wild
Matt
Things?
Dillon is very good.
And Matt Dillon is
that's the Denise Richards exception to her rule.
Pre-Charlie Sheen, Denise Richards. You've got my full attention.
Sophie Marceau, though, is really, she's good in that movie.
And she's a great mime.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Like you need to be for the rest of the show.
Well, that would speed things up. Let's go to the Moore region. In the Moore region, the number 1 seed, and we'll see if this is controversial, was The Man with the Golden Gun.
The mirror sequence is in that, right?
Oh, yeah. And they're in the funhouse. Hervé Villechaize.
Oh, that scene is ridiculous, though.
No, that's a silly movie, except I like, and this is just ridiculous, but I like the fact that, is it a Pinto? Or a Gremlin or something like that?
It's an AMC.
Oh, it's an AMC.
Yeah, it's
and
a
they
Javelin.
turn it into a plane.
Yeah, the only bad part in The Man with the Golden Gun is the stupid sheriff from Louisiana.
Yeah, I know. That doesn't hold up at all, but I do like the flying car.
Okay, so we got The Man with the Golden One. It seems to be a consensus on number 1 seed.
It's a little too slow, but
number 2 seed. Yes, it bogs down in the middle with the J.D. Pepper crap. Number 2 seed, Live and Let Die, is matched up with Moonraker. Number 3, Octopussy is matched up with The Spy Who Loved Me at number 6. For Your Eyes Only at number 4 is up against A View to a Kill at number 5. I don't know if Drew would appreciate that because he's a big Duran Duran theme song fan. Are you okay with Live and Let Die number 2? They were under heavy consideration for number 1 seed.
Yeah, that's fine for the number 2.
Okay. So Live and Let Die and Moonraker.
You got to go with Live and Let Die. Although Moonraker I saw in Japan. I was in Tokyo, and I saw it about the same time as that Alien, because I think they came out the same summer, which is sort of funny. You think of those two sci-fi. Bond was trying to...
No, Moonraker was in the 70s.
Moonraker... you could make an argument for Moonraker for the line of is it Drax, the bad guy?
Hugo Drax, Sir Hugo Drax. Yeah.
The line about see that some harm comes to him.
Yes.
Which is one of the best lines in any Bond movie from a bad guy, other than "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die."
Yeah.
Goldfinger.
Well, in terms of Bond villains, Drax he's great, and the actor is terrific.
See that some harm comes to him.
Yeah. He's very, and he's so deadpan too. It's just sort of like blasé.
It's great.
Just like,
the space is silly, and Jaws is in it, and it's all.
We're going to get to Jaws later in the show.
He bites an anaconda in the neck, and I don't know, do snakes have necks? You like to talk about anacondas.
They're all necks. They just never quite get to the shoulders. So
we're getting sidetracked. Sorry.
Yes. 3. We have Octopussy and The Spy Who Loved Me.
I like The Spy Who Loved Me. It's kind of fun.
I found The Spy Who Loved Me completely forgettable, and I hate the Debbie Boone theme song. Octopussy has Maude Adams.
And the bad guy eats an eyeball out of a lamb's head. I remember that about Octopussy.
Yikes. Okay, well, I'll give you The Spy Who Loved Me. That can be our 12-5 matchup, the upset. The Spy Who Loved Me. Nobody does it better. Which
and
is
the bad girl
dumb.
flies a helicopter in it, and he shoots. He's got a car that turns into a submarine, and he shoots a missile out of the top of it and blows up the helicopter.
So we got For Your Eyes Only and A View to a Kill.
I can't believe I know that. That's just, this is pathetic.
I'll chime in on this one because A View to the Kill was the first one I saw in the theaters. I think I was 9. Yeah, was that 80 mid 80s?
It was probably about 84 or 86, right in there.
Yeah, I was born in 76, so I was 9 or 10. Grace Jones, right? That's
Grace Jones.
Yes.
Which that blew my mind at that age. That was pretty cool. I don't know why. It was just
a terrible movie, but Christopher Walken is the villain.
Yeah,
and he's the reason to me is by far the most enjoyable
Yeah.
Roger Moore movie because of Christopher Walken.
Okay, so I guess that's going to beat For Your Eyes Only.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Choice of you, whatever you. And of course, great new wave theme song, which we'll revisit the theme songs in Room 7.
No, it's a terrible song, but it's
I wish Drew Wave was here. Okay,
no,
so
but it's kind of fun.
Let's narrow this down. We've got Live and Let Die versus The Spy Who Loved Me.
Live and Let Die.
Yes.
Don't you think?
Yes, blaxploitation Bond and Jane Seymour's Solitaire. Oh my!
And then The Man with a Golden Gun, A View to a Kill.
And then when James Bond runs across the swamp on the backs of alligators, you got to give me something for that.
Yeah,
and the
you
Guy Jeffrey, what's his name from the 7-Up commercials, is the witch doctor.
Yaphet Kotto's in that too, right?
Yaphet Kotto
he's
is the
great.
villain. Yeah, it's very good.
Who's fabulous.
Great. The Man with the Golden Gun and A View to a Kill.
I'm going Christopher Walken. I know that is. Here's the way I look at it. I know it's not a very good movie at all, but if both those movies come on when I get home tonight and my wife's asleep or whatever, I'm watching A View to a Kill.
perfect way to judge it. Yeah,
I could not disagree with you more, except when we talk about the Louisiana sheriff in the middle of The Man with the Golden Gun.
You love
Totally
Christopher Walken.
Weighs it down. Yeah, I also love Christopher Lee, though, and he was great as Scaramanga.
Oh, yeah, he's not bad.
Okay.
That movie's too ponderous.
Okay. Ponderous, man. Ponderous. So now we've got to close out the Moore region with Live and Let Die versus A View to a Kill. Can A View to a Kill, the dark horse upstart, coached by Shaka Smart, take out the John Calipari-led Live and Let Die franchise?
I don't think so.
No.
As much as I like Christopher Walken, I want to throw you a bone.
Live
and Let Die.
We put our pinky out when we eat.
Yeah, let's do that.
We dip them in
Let's
a
go
little.
Live and Let Die. Just because
I didn't know Jane Seymour was in Live and Let Die.
Oh, yeah.
we like Jane Seymour, but we love Yaphet Kotto.
She is the woman with second sight, who she is sworn to be a virgin, or she will lose her clairvoyance. So Yaphet Kotto has this super hot chick who he can't touch, and James Bond shows up and says, "I don't believe in those sorts of things." That would be Sean Connery, but Roger Moore would say, "I don't believe in those types of things."
So Live and Let Die out of the Moore region.
Do we want to go to Connery region or Craig region?
And GoldenEye out of the Brosnan
yes,
region.
GoldenEye and Live and Let Die.
All right. Let's go to Craig. We got to save
Craig.
We got to save the man for last.
Okay.
Right?
And this one Marc can get in because this is the kids table here, the more recent ones.
I know.
Yes.
So our buys, we have two buys here because it's a small bracket. I put Skyfall as a number one seed in this region.
Well,
Tough to argue. Number two seed may be controversial. On Her Majesty's Secret Service, the only George Lazenby movie. Not only a great opening sequence, not only the only movie where James Bond fell in love and got married, not only the movie where we first met Blofeld, but a great, great soundtrack.
It always comes back to the music for you, and that movie's fine. But you set the bracket, so we'll go with.
So those advance just because of the seeding. They get a bye. Our third seed is Casino Royale, the Daniel Craig one.
Well, that should easily beat the other one.
Oh, for sure.
Our sixth seed is the Woody Allen, Peter Sellers, David Niven
We
one,
don't really need to talk about that anymore.
which is kind of funny.
Let's move that on.
But yeah,
I don't know how either
dog
one
do.
beats Skyfall though.
Well, we're not there yet. So now we Casino Royale advances to take on Skyfall in the next,
which is
next
ridiculous.
round.
But
Quantum of Silence at 4 and Spectre at 5. Spectre, perhaps the most disappointing James Bond movie I've ever seen.
Really, I think I completely
like a bouillabaisse of all the James Bond movies.
I completely disagree with that. I
It's like
think
a compendium of Bond.
Quantum of Solace was
With a great villain wasted. Christoph Waltz is a villain and he's lame.
no. Quantum of Solace is
I was your father's
my least favorite Craig movie.
Wow.
It's
Quantum
okay.
of Solace is dog shit. It's just bad.
I'll break the tie then. I'll still say Spectre.
Spectre advances. Okay, so now we have.
Have you seen Spectre? How many times? Once.
I saw it once, and it was a chore to watch it to the end.
Go back and watch it again. Seriously.
Maybe
It's really well done. In fact, I would argue it's almost as good as Skyfall.
the problem with Daniel Craig is every other movie blows. Daniel Craig.
So does that mean the Bond 25?
What are you
has a
talking
chance?
about?
Or
Yes, it does because it's prime number Bond. 007 is prime number. 135, all good. Casino Royale, Skyfall. 25, we'll see. Okay.
I saw Spectre not that long ago, and I was surprised.
not bad, yeah.
At how entertaining and how well done. Yeah, it's really good.
My brother and I are both big Bond guys, and we walked out of just saying refund.
Wow.
Okay, Casino Royale, the Daniel Craig version versus Skyfall.
Which is ridiculous because these are two of the best 3 all-time Bond movies.
Okay, so Skyfall advances.
Yes, it's not fair though because Casino Royale saved the franchise.
There can only be one way. It's not fair that Michigan State didn't win a national championship.
You saw Casino Royale, right, Mark?
yes,
It was fantastic. Yeah.
I've been to Monaco.
Skyfall better though.
I'm just throwing that.
It
out
brought,
there.
but it brought Bond back.
Spectre and On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Spectre.
Mark, you're gonna.
Well, I'd
break
have
the
to go
tie.
Spectre because I haven't seen the other one.
Bless it.
It's before I was born.
Yeah, you got this wrong. Casino Royale and Skyfall should be facing off in the.
Well, here's how it works.
In the quarters.
Skyfall advances in this bracket anyway.
easily.
So, but On Her Majesty's Secret Service, much underappreciated. Okay, now we've taken a lot of time, but we've got the fun bracket. Is there any debate, by the way, who the best James Bond is?
Maybe a little.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, okay, who comes close to Connery?
Craig.
Craig does, but
He's
he's
okay. Can we agree on this? He's every bit as compelling.
in a different way.
He is. He's mesmerizing and he's charismatic on screen. The camera loves him. Sean Connery.
And as Vesper Lynn pointed out, great ass.
Sean Connery. There's a nostalgic quality to why we love him.
Now, see, to that point, the first
Bond.
ones I saw were Roger Moore, so he was my first Bond, even though the plots of those movies seem to be far more
They were very
ridiculous.
campy.
Yeah, they're silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kitschy,
It's
and
not
he was
his fault, but
he
to
was
me,
quippy.
he was the first Bond to me.
And so, would you say he's your favorite?
It's hard to be Daniel Craig though.
Okay, all right. Whoa,
But only,
I hate to
only
say
because
this.
the movies are so different and they're more modern.
They are. But Sean Connery, especially, and we can talk about his movies here in a second. But he by a hair, I would take Sean Connery.
You mean by a hair piece, if you're picking Sean Connery. Okay. And that will bring us up to Never Say Never Again in a moment. So our number one seed in the Connery region, because we have to have one by, is Goldfinger. Any dispute there?
No.
Okay. Number 2 seed, this may get controversial, Thunderball.
No. From Russia with Love is right there, but Thunderball is fabulous.
From Russia with Love, I have the 4 seed. The number 3 seed is You Only Live Twice.
That's starting to get a touch dated, and the whole Americans dressing up as Japanese and all that. But it is a fun movie.
Okay. And I guess there's some cultural appropriation because
for sure.
James Bond plays a Japanese.
That's what I mean. Oh, not American. Sorry, British. I guess he's British.
Yes. Okay. Our 5th seed is Dr. No, which is kind of low for a good movie that started the franchise. 6th seed is Diamonds Are Forever. 7th seed is Never Say Never Again. Again, one of the rump movies. So here's your matchups. 2 versus 7. Thunderball versus Never Say Never Again.
Thunderball.
Easy one. Okay. Number 3, You Only Live Twice versus Diamonds Are Forever.
Also easy. You only live twice. Although Diamonds Are Forever has its own weird 70s kitschy kind of vibe to it. But
I liked it when I saw Bambi and Thumper jumping all over the place.
And the two hitmen are that are lovers, right?
The gayest James Bond movie.
Yeah.
I mean, and Tiffany Case. Who doesn't like
Jill St. John?
Jill St. John?
Yeah.
I couldn't think of her name because
like
a lot
redheads.
of a lot of my blood was rushing to another part of my body that's
You Only
nowhere
Live
near
Twice.
my skull. You Only Live Twice advances. From Russia with Love and Dr. No. Tough call.
I would say From Russia with Love.
Yes. Also,
Robert Shaw's in that.
Oh, that whole opening montage where they kill Bond.
The train, the crossroad. Yeah, it's great.
And as we mentioned earlier, Kronstein playing McMasters in the and then okay, great, good stuff. Thunderball versus You Only Live Twice.
Thunderball.
Yeah, I think so too. Funny story, John Barry, who did all the great theme music for James Bond, they had several people auditioned for the Thunderball theme, and unlike many of the James Bond themes, where different groups would have their own unique song, Johnny Cash and my man Tom Jones sang the same song, and it's a great, epic, soaring song, but it doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, some of it is cool. He always runs while others walk. You know, he acts while other men just talk. He's the winner who takes all. That's why he fights like Thunderball. It kind of makes sense, but it's kind of weird. So Tom Jones gets the gig, and he's talking to John Barry, and John Barry tells a story where he says, Tom Jones says, I don't, in his great Welsh accent, he's like, the song doesn't make any sense. I don't know what I'm singing. And John Barry, just in his very highbrow English accent, says, just sing the song, Tom. And he does, and it's great. So Thunderball advances. Here's a tough one here, maybe not. Goldfinger versus From Russia with Love.
I would go with Goldfinger. It is tough, but Goldfinger.
Okay, Mark, any thoughts from the?
Well, I've seen
from
Goldfinger,
the nursery,
so I'll go with that one.
Okay, so Goldfinger versus Thunderball
from the high chair. Yeah.
That's right. With the crayons and the
I know,
the little animal crackers. So now we have Thunderball versus Goldfinger. Can there be any doubt who advances?
Well, I've seen Goldfinger.
Yes.
I mean, yes, I know it needs to be Goldfinger, but Thunderball is underrated.
In terms of hot villainous women?
Not just hot, but smart. Luciana Paluzzi, the redhead Italian actress.
You got me right at redhead.
Yeah, Claudine Auger, I think is the
Claudine Auger, yeah, Domino.
And Largo.
Former Miss France.
And the
nurse
the
at the beginning
pack,
when he's at Shrublands.
and the jetpack.
Yes,
he's escaped.
even when he kills the French colonel who dresses up as a woman at his own funeral.
Yes.
Even the cross-dressing French colonel is a hot chick who's not really a
Thunderball
chick.
is fun, and it holds up really well. Those are you're right. Those are the two best movies. Although some people like From Russia with Love.
From Russia with Love,
fun
except for
fact.
the gypsy fight. The gypsy fight in the middle of From Russia with Love is the equivalent of the racing through the canals of Thailand.
But I think you're going to go with Goldfinger because it's the best bad guy.
Okay.
The best lines from the Connery era. The best named Bond girl.
Yeah.
Right? Or at least the most.
Well, we can
We
get to
shouldn't say
those in a minute.
best, but yeah.
The least family friendly. Well, no, there's a lot of them there. Okay, so now
So Goldfinger.
we're down to our final four. Emerging from the Connery region is Goldfinger. Emerging from the Brosnan region is Goldeneye. Moore yields Live and Let Die. Craig surrenders Skyfall. Let's do the easy one first. Goldfinger versus Goldeneye.
Yeah, that's ridiculous that they're paired against each other.
Goldfinger. Okay, no problem there. Live and Let Die versus
Skyfall.
Skyfall.
It's gotta be Skyfall.
Yeah, it's not close.
So here's how Drew Wave would think of this. You're picking Adele over Paul McCartney?
He likes Adele.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with Adele.
In fact, he said that even though she's rather large, she gets a pass on her size in the hotness grade because she sings so well, as I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice sort of feminist way to view it.
Well, that's what Drew said. I find that kind of thinking reprehensible.
Yeah, I could tell by the tone when you repeated it.
I was just thinking of Pussy Galore, who's a character in a movie, a Bond movie. So here it is, the Battle Royale, which is not a James Bond.
We didn't mention that, the Bond girl in Moonraker, Goodhead.
Holly Goodhead.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, which I think was Barbara Bach, maybe? Ringo
that
Starr's?
was, Barbara Bach was
oh, no.
The Spy Who Loved
You're
Me.
right, that's right, The Spy Who Loved Me. So, GoldenEye versus Skyfall. Goldfinger versus Skyfall.
I was going to say, that's, heresy.
So here we go. I know what the answer is. I'm interested to see what Mark is going to say, because I think I know what Sean's going to say.
Oh boy, that's tough.
This is the end.
Oh Lord, if you're gonna sing it, I'm gonna kill.
So I actually look less hot. I've added weight every time I sing this.
I really hate to lean towards nostalgia, but it's kind of hard to beat. It's kind of hard to beat Goldfinger, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's right.
I mean, nostalgia, the story. I'd go with Goldfinger.
The golf game where he switches the golf ball. I never play golf without thinking of Slazenger golf balls because of how he switches the golf ball on Orc Goldfinger to win the brick of Nazi gold. In fact, Bond plays Penfold Hearts, which was at the time a technologically superior golf ball that you can still get, but you have to special order them from England. And I ordered some for my brother for Christmas because we're so big on Bond. And my brother, being my brother, said, "Thanks."
What?
He said, "Thanks." I ordered these from England. The country.
How ungrateful.
He's an artist.
So the golf ball gets switched, and then Oddjob throws his hat and takes off the head of the sculpture, and then he crushes the golf ball after Oric writes the check in that fabulous car of his.
Also a female empowerment film. All of the stunt pilots and the strike force were all female. Were they the Vixens or something? I mean, they were.
Yeah. So Goldfinger is a great combination of camp and a little bit of mystery and
a little rapey.
A little,
actually,
yeah, right.
When you think about it in the stables,
it is a little exactly. The technology. I mean, it's great in a lot of ways, but Skyfall also speaks to the same nostalgia. And when Daniel Craig and Judi Dench leave after the MI6 headquarters have been blown up, and they're leaving London to go out and hide, but leave a trail at the same time for Javier Bardem.
Think on your sins.
Exactly.
When she gets the email.
And he gets into the car he essentially drove in Goldfinger. And they, for the first time in the Daniel...
the Aston Martin DB5.
Exactly. And for the first time in that series with Daniel Craig, they play the original Bond music in a way. And it's really... it's not maybe moving, but it kind of is, because Judi Dench is such a great actress. And the weight of that, and the history of that, going all the way back to the 60s.
So
it's an amazing moment. And then
of all the women who have been in
end.
Bond movies, you're really into the old bag.
Yeah, Dame
She's
Judi Dench is Sean's favorite.
She eats the screen up.
Wow, you had me up until.
And she dies.
That means you get to break the tie.
She dies at the end of Skyfall,
Spoiler
right?
alert.
So that whole
Old age.
scene,
She dies of old age.
that whole scene, though,
Diabetes.
right, where they're out on the plains,
Change your diaper, Judi Dench here.
and you find out what happened. It's an origination movie, and you find out, he was right.
So I don't like to run, but I will tell you, every time I run, I think of Daniel Craig running through London and just sit there and saying, I mean, because obviously he and I have a lot in common, starting with the great ass. But that notion, the thing I think I like about Skyfall so much is he's vulnerable.
Yeah,
there's that moment where he's like, has it all passed me by?
exactly.
And he's running and he's just like, I'm winded. I mean, whoever thought of James Bond as winded? This is a guy.
Well, and he's wounded in the
He's an
beginning of it.
English guy who jumps on some skis, has the skis shot out from under him, shushes down the Matterhorn, and then, zips off and he's wearing a tuxedo. Who the hell does that? So, Skyfall is a human Bond. But you know why I go to see Bond? Because I like somebody who's not human.
But he's not in the end. Here's the thing about Skyfall. They could have ended the run with Skyfall because it went back 40 years and
if
tied
they
it.
were going to make Spectre, they should have. But
They're never going to end the run.
No, of course they're not. But I'm just saying, in the narrative arc, Skyfall could have very well ended it.
Okay, so moment of truth: Skyfall or Goldfinger?
I'm going to go with
You're the one to
Skyfall
break
just
the
because
tie.
it's a better movie, even though I understand why Goldfinger is more meaningful maybe in the franchise in a way.
I was hoping you were going to say, "Do you expect me to vote?" And I was going to say, "No, I expect you to vote wrong. Your winner is Goldfinger." Is gold. Shirley Bassey.
Golden words.
This is not Shirley Bassey.
So what you just did, and hopefully there's some listeners out there that listened last week when we had our beer podcast. But what you just did was pick the craft brew over the yard brew. That's what you just did.
No, he picked the classic.
No, you didn't. The reason Goldfinger is a classic now is because
we're back to the blaxploitation.
Where's Goldfinger playing right now? It's at the Michigan Theater in Ann Arbor. It's in all the art house theaters at college campuses. People get dressed up and they clap, and it's a hipster nostalgic event.
He chose the PBR over the Oberon.
The young hipster folks are listening or watching this movie. Skyfall is a better movie. But anyway, go ahead.
Skyfall is an excellent
Not according
movie.
to our bracket, Sean. Sorry.
But your
Just
winner.
the way things fall.
Hey, listen.
I knew you were a closet hypocritical soccer
Michigan
guy.
State was the best team in the tournament, and they didn't take home the crown. So I'm familiar with this. So
Whatever you say, soccer guy.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
we were trying to figure out who would be our Geek of the Week. Would it be Blofeld, the seemingly never-ending, never-dying villain that's in all of the Bond movies? It seems like he's in all the Bond movies. But I have to tell you, I think Jaws is our Geek of the Week because he was the villain, but he was kind of lovable.
He was ridiculous.
And then he became Bond's friend? What kind of villain is that?
But he also supported Happy Gilmore.
That was later.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he redeemed himself.
Yeah,
and if we've learned anything from Sensitive Bond, is that there's redemption out there for all of us.
You're not a fan of Sensitive Bond.
I like Sensitive Bond, but you know, Invulnerable Bond has got a certain appeal, particularly in these uncertain times. So, Richard Keel, also known as Jaws, you are our Geek of the Week.
See you again.
There's an all-night party in 37609. And you can dance together all night. You've got the time.
James Bond is often considered to be behind the times. In fact, I think his own boss has called him a relic of a bygone era. Patchouli sniffing, Ann Arbor residing, big chickens who just left, so I can say whatever the hell I want about him, like Sean Windsor, would tell you that James Bond is politically incorrect. But the one thing you cannot say about James Bond is that the music is out of time, because he always has the leading performers of the day doing memorable music that stands up, that gets covered, that gets recycled. Even when you have somebody like Shirley Bassey, who does something 40 years ago, she's so great, she's so powerful, she can do 2 or 3 more James Bond themes, because
it's the only song I know that she does is a James Bond song.
Well, I think
that's
she
because of me.
She did a version of Thunderball that they didn't use. She did one of the Daniel Craig themes. Oh yeah. I think it was the Quantum of Silence, or Solace. It should have been Silence because it sucked. But
Rolling Stone ranked them all and gave her #1 for Goldfinger.
Yeah. Well, it's tough not to give her number. But who's she competing with? She's competing against Paul McCartney.
He was #2.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Nancy Sinatra, #3.
Nancy Sinatra. Okay, so here's the deal with Nancy Sinatra. There's a better version of You Only Live Twice that was slightly different lyrics done by somebody else. But Nancy Sinatra was so nervous when she went in to record that. They had to do something like dozens of takes, and then they pieced together the song, you know. So the song you hear, the Nancy Sinatra version of You Only Live Twice, she didn't even perform once, at least not all the way through.
Wow.
Or maybe she performed it like hundreds of times, but never straight through. So John Barry, who was responsible for all that great orchestration and so much of the mood of the Bond movies, basically saved her bacon.
Adele, Skyfall 4th. That
Adele's
just
great.
shows you how many good songs there are in Bond
fantastic.
movies. Shirley Bassey also comes in 5th for Diamonds Are Forever.
Oh, Diamonds Are Forever. Yes, 2 Connerys. That's pretty good.
Carly Simon at 6.
Yeah, and
Funny,
even
I forget that that's from a movie.
when
Nobody
Sheena Easton did God, she was terrible. She did the one Blondie did, For Your Eyes Only. She was a big star.
That came in 8th.
You know, yeah. When Debbie Boone did one, she was a big star. Now, of course, you know, how can you pick Sheena Easton over Blondie, who also did a version of that, and Lulu, who did one of my absolute favorites, The Man with the Golden Gun. Never really made it internationally, but amazing pipes, great singer. Anyways, Room 7609, we're really talking about new wave music. There have been some great new wave bands. We talked a little bit about Duran Duran and A View to the Kill, which was Drew Wave's favorite. Very good song. Pet Shop Boys did one, didn't make the cut. But Aha they were chosen, and people are like, oh, they had more than one hit. I know, Take On Me. Yes, they did a James Bond theme, but they have a third song that's worth listening to. I would call it Worthy, and maybe because I work on TV, but no, it's because it's just kind of a cool new wave tune. The Sun Always Shines on TV by Aha.
How can it be? The sun always shines on TV. Hold me close to your heart. Touch me and give all your love to me. To me.
He said. So the theme song that they did for James Bond was The Living Daylights, which they thought, as Danish pop stars, this is very cool. John Barry has described working with them as one of the most miserable experiences he had on the James Bond movies. Yeah,
Why? They have an ego?
Yeah, they don't go into a lot of details. By that time, he was getting pretty old and was getting ready to hand off the musical responsibilities to a guy named David Arnold, who's a nice guy. Seems like a nice guy, very respectful, very big on synthesizer. So not quite my speed. But The Living Daylights is a great James Bond theme, but The Sun Always Shines on TV. The third song you may, in any capacity, hear from.
Not bad.
So kind of a good new wave. Here's another new wave group who passed up a chance or didn't get the chance to do a James Bond theme, and we can only be too grateful. Ace of Base
really
turned down the opportunity to do the theme song for GoldenEye because Ace of Base was worried that if they did a James Bond theme song, it would drag Ace of Base down.
Oh, please.
Is that the most ridiculous thing you've
That's
ever
pretty
heard?
Embarrassing.
Yeah. So kiss my Ace of Base. We're getting ready to wrap up. A couple of last notes to throw out to you on our James Bond special. James Bond was played not only by Sean Connery, but also by his younger brother, Neil Connery, in an Italian version of James Bond, which also starred M. and Moneypenny, who starred with Sean Connery in a movie called OK Connery that's also known as Operation Kid Brother. Neil Connery wears a little Van Dyke beard, and it's very ridiculous, very silly. One of many sort of derivative James Bond movies that are out there.
Can I add my fun fact?
Yeah,
Probably
please.
the most recent Bond fact because they're filming Bond 25. A man was just arrested, and I believe he's being charged for putting cameras in the bathroom, the women's bathroom, on the set of Bond 25. I don't know how they're going to roll that in the movie, but
wow, so that would be the golden eye that caught the golden shower.
it's just really odd that if you type in James Bond, that's the first news story you're going to see right now.
Wow.
I'm looking forward to 25. It sounds. I like Rami Malek. It's Daniel Craig's last one.
I think the prime factor plays in. First one with Craig is good. Third one is good. Hopefully the fifth one will be great. What's the most iconic James Bond line besides him saying his name?
Well, shaken, not stirred.
Aha, that's what you would think.
It's not.
But in some of the Bond movies, he's stirred, not shaken.
Really?
Yes, like in
Make up your mind, Bond.
Yeah, in You Only Live Twice, his contact in Japan presents him a drink and says, "It's stirred, not shaken. I believe that's the way you like it." And he goes, "Of course. Oh, Russian vodka. Fantastic."
Really?
So even the things you think you know about Bond, you maybe really didn't know.
Huh.
So just another public
it's the
service
Mandela
here.
effect.
Oh, what's that?
The Mandela effect, when you think something is from memory, but it's not.
Oh, God, that's my whole life. That's
There's
why I
a
take
bunch of
notes. That's how I take notes. So thank you for whiling away another hour here with us on ML Soul of Detroit. If you like our James Bond special, please write us at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. If you hate it, you can write us too. We'll read what you have to say either way. You can contact us at 313-288-9070. That's 313-Butterfield-8-9070. Please patronize our sponsors, David Hall and Dr. Yull. Let them know that we sent you there. And if you want to sponsor us yourself, check out the homepage, mlsoulofdetroit.com. There you will find our bracket so you can fill it out and reach your own best of. Until next week, you have been listening to the Red Shovel Network. This is ML Soul of Detroit. Cyrus, take us out.
Can you dig that? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Are you going to kill him, Jimmy?
Yes, why don't you, huh? Be fair, Mr. Bond. It's all in the game. We're both gamblers. And I've lost.
Jimmy.
Give me the check. Huh? Come on. Call the police.